If this message reaches you, it is meant for you. For anyone seeking inner peace today, you are not the mind. Listen. Long ago, in a land shaped by silence and survival, something extraordinary was nearly lost forever. Not through war, not through fire set by hatred, but through simple necessity. A young boy was asked to gather fuel so his family could survive the cold nights and cook their food. Trees were scarce. Wood was hard to find, so he turned to what was available. Ancient scrolls, fragile parchments hidden in the earth for centuries. He burned them without knowing what they contained. And yet, by pure accident, some survived. Enough to whisper truths that time could not erase. Those writings carried ideas that were far ahead of their era. Ideas not about control, not about hierarchy, not about obedience, but about human nature, about relationships, about the unseen forces shaping our lives. Ideas that didn't vanish because they were false, but because they were dangerous to systems built on external authority. These teachings asked people to look inward, to take responsibility, to recognize themselves in the world they were experiencing. Among these teachings was a radically different understanding of relationships, not as coincidence, not as fate, but as mirrors. What if the people who enter your life are not random? What if every relationship is reflecting something back to you, not to punish you, not to reward you, but to reveal you? When Jesus is approached not as a religious figure, but as a historical teacher of awareness, his words take on a different meaning. He didn't speak in doctrines. He didn't lecture like a philosopher. He told stories, simple images, everyday metaphors, stories that bypass logic and land directly in the human heart. Hidden inside those stories is a psychology of relationships that still explains our lives today. The first mirror is the simplest and the most misunderstood. It is the mirror of the present moment. Sometimes the world around us reflects who we are right now, our emotional state, our stress, our unhealed reactions. When we are anxious, life feels rushed. When we are angry, people seem irritating. When we are disconnected from ourselves, the world feels distant. People were told that if their life felt painful, it was their fault. That kind of thinking created shame instead of awareness. But that was never the original intention. The insight was meant to empower, not blame. Because if the moment is reflecting something within you, then awareness becomes the doorway to change. But this is only the first mirror. Not every relationship reflects who you are in the moment. Some relationships reflect something deeper. This is the second mirror, the mirror of judgment. Think about the people who trigger you instantly. The ones who make you feel reactive without effort. The ones who push emotional buttons you didn't know were there. Often, what we react to most strongly is not what we are, but what we care deeply about. If honesty matters to you, dishonesty will feel unbearable. If loyalty matters to you, betrayal will cut deeply. If integrity matters to you, inconsistency will disturb you. This mirror is not saying you are flawed. It is revealing what you value. In real life, this mirror often appears in patterns. multiple relationships reflecting the same issue, similar conflicts repeating with different faces. When this happens, life is not punishing you. It is highlighting something central to your inner world. And then there is the third mirror. This one reaches the deepest layers of the heart. It is the mirror of what you have lost, given away, or had taken from you. Throughout life, people compromise themselves slowly to be accepted, to keep peace, to survive emotionally. Needs are silenced, boundaries soften. Authenticity is traded for belonging. Piece by piece, parts of the self are set aside. At first, it feels harmless. Until one day, you meet someone who carries a quality you instantly recognize: confidence, freedom, creativity, warmth, presence. And suddenly, without explanation, you feel drawn to them. You may already be in a relationship. You may not want this attraction. You may judge yourself for feeling it, but this attraction is not about desire. It is about recognition. You are sensing something in them that once lived in you. This is why people say things like, "I feel whole around them," or "I feel like myself when I'm with them." That language is intuitive truth. The other person is reflecting back a lost part of you. The mistake is believing that person completes you. They do not. They remind you of what is possible to reclaim. And here is the quiet miracle. When you reclaim that part within yourself, the attraction often fades. Not because love disappears, but because the lesson completes itself. This is why some relationships transform suddenly. Why intensity turns into peace. Why attachment dissolves into clarity. When this process happens unconsciously, people say they fell out of love, but consciously it is integration. These mirrors do not operate alone. They overlap. They echo. They move through a deeper field of connection, the invisible space between people. Call it awareness. Call it consciousness. Call it the field of relationship. Within this space, even time behaves differently. Healing does not always move forward step by step. Sometimes insight arrives before memory. Sometimes clarity comes before explanation. This is why ancient teachings feel timeless. They were not bound to culture or era. They spoke to patterns that repeat in every human life. Relationships are not accidents. They are not problems to fix. They are messages to be understood. They are invitations to awareness, to honesty, to wholeness. If this message resonates, you are not alone. Many are quietly awakening to this way of seeing, not as belief, but as lived experience. And if you want more reflections like this, deeper explorations of consciousness, psychology, and timeless wisdom, subscribe to this channel. These messages are for those who feel deeply, think quietly, and are ready to see life clearly. You are not broken. Your relationships are not random. And nothing you are experiencing is meaningless. It is all speaking to you, if you are willing to listen.